This is Jay Slater, a missing 19-year-old that has not been seen since he attempted to walk through northern Tenerife's dangerous and rugged terrain. Stuff about this guy has been popping up all over my feed, and surprisingly, despite the serious nature of this story, I've been seeing a couple memes about the topic, just making fun of the guy. Anyways, after seeing a couple videos about the guy, I decided to do some investigating into his story in order to learn about what actually happened to him. Let's get started. Jay was attending the Energy Music Festival in Tenerife, Spain, which took place from the 14th to 16th of June. On the very last day of the event, in the early hours of July 17th, Jay was spotted entering a vehicle with two other men assumed to have been on their way back from their holiday accommodation. According to Jay's friends who were on the trip with him, Jay had met the two individuals at the festival, and they drove to a remote location located near the national park Rural del Teno, where the two men had rented an Airbnb. Now, so far the situation isn't insanely out of the ordinary. I mean, Jay had apparently been hanging out with these people throughout the festival, but it is a little weird that he left without any of his friends he had come with. Jay later left the Airbnb and asked the owner of it what time the buses started running, so he could actually get back to where he was staying. Now, the buses didn't start going for another hour or so Jay eventually decided to start walking. One thing that the police mentioned is that the Airbnb owner actually passed Jay while driving and noticed that he was going the complete wrong direction. This is where things get a little weird. Jay decided that he wanted a more scenic view, so rather than walking down the brightly lit street, he ventured into the surrounding hills. He managed to contact one of his friends that he had actually traveled to Tenerife with and told him that he had no water, no food, and no idea where he was. It really doesn't get much worse than that, to be honest. But the situation did indeed get worse, because Jay also mentioned that his phone was on 1%, meaning he wouldn't be able to contact anyone for help. His friend, attempting to help in any way he could, told him to just go back to the Airbnb he came from. However, Jay told him that he couldn't do that. This raises the question of why. Had Jay done something to piss the owners off, or did they have malicious intent and he was escaping some sort of setup? After hearing that he couldn't head back, the friend asked Jay to send him his location, and after that, Jay's phone pretty much died, making the contact with his friend the last contact he would have with the outside world. The very next day, his friends all got together and basically decided that Jay was missing, and that they should contact the police. The police then set out on this massive search, attempting to find Jay or any clues that could lead to where he was and what had happened to him. And they seemed to really want to find this guy, as they unleashed dogs, helicopters, rescue teams, and even drones, hoping to find any sign of him. And as the story gained international traction, people from the UK began flying over, trying to provide any type of support they could in Jay's search. However, after 2 weeks, the police couldn't find a single sighting or report of him, so they ended up calling the search off.
The latest on Jay Slater, we know that the Spanish police have called off the official search for him, which is sort of, for the family, would be devastating to hear.
So distressing, isn't it? Because obviously we're no further on.
This is where things get even weirder. So we have this missing person that for some reason can't be found, and recently there have been some new reports that mention Jay leaving the Airbnb very quickly, possibly meaning he didn't feel safe for some strange reason. And why would he choose to walk back to the resort rather than wait at the Airbnb or bus stop nearby? Keep in mind, the walk from the Airbnb to the resort he was staying at was about a 14-hour trek, an extremely difficult feat after spending the whole night at a rave. Interestingly, however, the two men that Jay had met with were deemed irrelevant to the investigation according to the police, and were allowed to return to the UK a day after Jay Slater had officially been reported missing. Personally, I find that a little strange because those two people were super involved with the incident, and even if they were deemed irrelevant, I feel like the police still should have kept them on hand in case any new information came up. To make matters even worse, police on the island have apparently been refusing help from people in the UK, seeming to be an attempt to stop new information from coming up and having Jay's body found. This brings up the possibility of a gang-related issue, and I'm not just saying that to sound dramatic or anything, because when Jay was around 16 to 17 years old, he had ties with a youth gang in England. Don't get me wrong, this isn't anything like Narcos or The Sopranos or anything, but the gang in question was charged with attacking another boy of similar age named Tom Hilton. And this attack on Tom was fucking brutal. It involved a group of boys wielding machetes, an axe, and golf clubs, with Tom being hit in the head, resulting in a split skull. Miraculously though, Tom didn't die, and the boys who attacked him were identified. But for some reason they didn't receive any prison time and instead only had to do some community service. Now you may be wondering what this has to do with Jay Slater, so let me tell you. Jay was actually part of the group that attacked Tom and split his skull. This is most likely why you may have been seeing a lot of memes and stuff about the guy, since people have been digging into his past and uncovering some extremely unflattering things about him. This has led to a lot of the goodwill on the internet regarding his rescue to die down, as people began realizing that he wasn't exactly a goody two-shoes. Tom Hilton was actually brought up so much that he decided to make a statement saying that people need to stop worrying about him and focus on finding Jay. A truly selfless act in my opinion, considering that Jay split his skull open. He tweeted, "Whoever's writing on these TikToks, give it a rest. This young lad's missing and his family is heartbroken. Put yourself in their shoes, stop talking nonsense on social and get this lad found. Mentioning my name, all this and that, have some respect and help find this boy and get him back to his family." Now, Jay's family have received a lot of help, with his mother starting a GoFundMe for Jay, gathering about £50,000 from various donations. Another interesting person that they've received help from is Mark Williams Thomas, an ex-UK detective who is currently an investigative reporter for television. You may recognize him from a Netflix show called The Investigator, and he's been an extremely active member of this entire investigation. He's also been posting a lot on TikTok, aiming to spread awareness and keep Jay Slater on everyone's minds throughout the investigative process. But one thing I find pretty sad about this whole thing is that his TikToks get maybe a couple 100,000 views and reach pretty much no one, despite his efforts to help find this missing boy. And on the other hand, any random person can post a video memeing on Jay Slater and pretty much get a million views easy. Now, one theory that Mark came up with is that Jay stole an extremely expensive Rolex from the Airbnb, hence the reason he couldn't return back there.
Jay posted this Snapchat saying that he'd taken a £12,000 Rolex from a person. We've been unable to validate this in terms of a reported theft. However, friends of Jay said he would not make this up, and the watch was subject of later conversation between the friends.
If anything, this theory brings up even more questions than it answers, because I mean, this watch is an actual thing. There have been various news reports involving it, and Jay told his friends about it before his phone died, so this theory could be 100% true. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Jay's mother had set up a GoFundMe which made about £50,000, and she recently made an announcement that honestly just confused me and made me really skeptical about this whole situation. She basically stated that she has no intentions of sharing where or how the funds are going to be used. Hi everyone, this is Debbie again. First, I would like to thank everyone for your support, kind messages, and good wishes. It's difficult to wrap our heads around what is happening right now, but we are not losing hope that we will find Jay and return home together. We are currently working with GoFundMe to withdraw part of the funds, which are being safely held. I wanted to share that these funds will be used to support the mountain rescue teams who are tirelessly searching for Jay. Additionally, since our stay in Tenerife needs to be extended, we will also use the funds to cover accommodation and food expenses. I'm surrounded by wonderful people who are by my side, but far from their loved ones, so we'll also be using part of these funds to fly them to Tenerife so we can support each other during these dark times. Thank you again for all your donations and support, this means the world to us. Before going deeper, I just want to say that there have been so many people online constantly attacking and belittling Jay Slater and his family due to the information of him attacking Tom Hilton being released, that lots of people are extremely skeptical of the GoFundMe and many don't think that it's actually real. A lot of people even theorize that Jay is completely safe and his family simply created this entire situation as a ploy to make a little extra cash. Personally, I think that is all a little ridiculous. I mean, Jay's brother and father have been personally going around the island putting up missing posters for Jay, and I don't think that Mark Thomas would stake his reputation on the matter unless there was actually some substance there. I don't really know for sure though. There's definitely something shady about the whole thing, but to go so far as to say that the family made it all up in order to make some money seems a little far-fetched to me. Although Jay did do some fucked up stuff in his past and it shouldn't be overlooked, memeing on his disappearance and attacking his family online simply shouldn't be happening because at the end of the day, no one knows the entire story. I've seen so many theories about this situation online that are simply so insane that I'm not even going to put them in the video, to be honest. At the end of the day, we should really just be sticking to the facts and providing support to Jay's family since they're currently missing their son. Like, Jay may never be found, or worse, he might be found dead, and I know if that ever happens, all the people currently memeing on him and attacking his family are gonna do a complete 180 and start talking about how they've been worried ever since he first went missing, and that they haven't slept in days or some shit. I'm sure there's gonna be more and more news coming out over the next couple days or weeks, and I hope that Jay is eventually found. But let me know your theories or opinions on the whole situation, because as a whole, it's pretty fucking crazy. Anyways, if you enjoyed, drop a like, it's free and helps me out a lot. And as always, it's been me, Cal, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.